Welcome back. Michael's taking a sip of his tea.
Because there's
Welcome
just so
back.
much tea to go around.
The episode
Oh my
4.
god.
Yes, it's the episode 4
Woo!
recap, a day before episode 5. We really wanted to make you guys wait for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Michael's at a wedding. I forgot to make the new templates, and it was a grand adventure. But we're here
We're
now.
very on top of it, very together, very
Mhm.
demure, and very
Mhm.
mindful over here.
Yes. I'm gonna plug my computer in. And yeah, let's I
Quick
had
recap.
quick recap. We're gonna try something different here. I'm gonna zip through some things, do a quick recap for since it's been so long since the last
It's
episode.
been so long.
You
It's
know,
been
I know I may be able to remember like every single thing that happened because I like watch it 3 times in 1 week. But yes, here's the recap. We start off with Red Tribe getting back to camp after blindsiding Asia, and Rome is on top of the world. He is 110% certain that Seoul is going home if they do end up going to tribal. He has his extra vote. There's it's just a surefire bet. There's nothing else could possibly happen. So Rome is over the moon. We cut to the Yellow Tribe. Sam is rapping, and it's really cringe. This is the episode of just overconfidence. Sam's rapping, and then the girls go off. Sierra's worried about it, the showmance, and they make the Breadwinners Alliance. And Rachel is even like, I feel really good about my game. I think I have a lot of good fortune. Like I feel like I can make it really far in this game. Boom, more overconfidence. We go to the Blue Tribe. Sue finds an idol. A huge urn of paint drops down and spills everywhere, and she has to hide it. And she's washing her arms. She's trying to like brush the paint away. And
literally. She should be like a murderer for a living. She was killing that.
and at the end, she's like, and I got away with it. Nobody knows I found the idol. Just for Tiana and Caroline to walk up and find her at the well. They weren't there. We didn't hear anything from them from certain that they think Sue has an idol, but we'll probably see that
I
in
mean,
the
Tiana was like, I'm creeped out. She's bleeding everywhere. This is weird. This
I mean,
is
they
actively
didn't
odd.
think the paint was fake, or they didn't think they still thought it was blood, which
Yeah,
is a
they
little
just think,
weird.
but who knows what that's like even more. Anyway, continue.
Well, we have a lot to talk about.
We have a lot to
Um
talk about this episode. Oh my god, fave
mhm.
episode.
Yeah. We go back to Red. Soul and Genevieve are weirdly maybe a possible alliance. Solavive question mark. Um
Sylvie.
yeah. Gata is still a mess. Andy is losing his shot in the dark, and Sam's telling him about it, and then Sierra's telling Andy about the Breadwinners Alliance, and then Andy's telling Sam about the Breadwinners Alliance, and then Sam's telling Sierra about the Breadwinners Alliance. It's a mess. It is just a mess. And then we get to the challenge. Michael's looking at the challenge saying, I could do that. This is the
I could easily.
overconfidence
It's
episode.
so easy. It
And
was
then
so easy.
Like Michael, Rome is like, you know what? I can take the puzzle. And he doesn't get a single piece down. They were all the way out in the front, but they end up in dead last. Yellow gets first somehow. They get the chickens that can lay eggs and immunity. Blue just gets regular eggs. And then we're left with Red Tribe going back to tribal once again. Rome's 100% confident. He's threatening Soul that he's going to go home unless he doesn't give Rome his shot in the dark. And then
But before that, three of them go on a journey.
there is the journey, and we'll that yes, that is good to note. And it's basically the whole episode is set up to think that Rome is going to go home or Soul is, until Genevieve flips the script, and ultimately in this overconfident episode it ends up being Kishan who's talking about how he's trying to get everyone to hate each other, and and only work with him, and suddenly Genevieve is orchestrating a master blindside.
Yeah.
Um,
Holy cow.
yeah. So you did catch me on the little journey that I missed. Is there anything else that I missed that you'd want to bring up?
Just that Teeny, Caroline, and Andy. I forgot their fucking names. They all go on a journey. They get like a thing where it's like three ambulance if you combine them together as an idol, and then it's like the same thing as before. So now they all have to either
It's
work together
45,
or not. And
and that
Teeny also
just
lost her vote for this episode, so
and that just
Keyshawn ended
worked
up going
out.
on a 3-0 vote.
4-0 because of the steal vote.
Oh yeah, 4-0 vote, and he had no idea, which is
Keyshawn was voted
iconic.
out. He was voted out with his own vote.
Iconic.
First person to vote themselves out.
Oh my, like
I
so
can't
good.
believe Rome didn't like. Maybe he did say that when he's putting up the parchment. I hope he did, but I would be sad if they didn't put that in the episode. Because I feel like Rome would be the type of person to be like Survivor first.
it's, it's just like, has that like ever happened where there's like a 4-0 vote before, or like it's like
There's been unanimous votes. I think there has been completely unanimous votes because people have played their shot in the dark. It doesn't work, and then they go home. So it's literally a like blank zero. But maybe they've sometimes split. No, you're testing my Survivor encyclopedia knowledge right now, and I'm
I
not on
am
top of
on
it.
on the spot.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I'm not an encyclopedia. I'm more like a AI chat GPT. I'm gonna get a lot of things wrong, but I'll know a lot of things, other things as well.
Yeah.
Um.
In other words, you're a robot.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we can here. Let's take a look at the fantasy rankings just to give us an idea of how things have shaken out. Um. Michael, you have sprung to the top with
Uh,
136 points. You and Christina both got the fire, the hot streak going.
Finally, I get my hot streak.
Mhm. The fishy was very interesting. I made a few changes.
There's no
Um,
way it didn't go to Genevieve.
it went to two people, and actually,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it went to Genevieve, and this was Steven's hot take of the week. He also gave it to Rome. He gave it to two people. Um, so yes, Genevieve and Rome. So I went back. I had Sam and Andy's fishy, or no, Sam and Sue's fishies as point fives, but I just went back and put them as ones because like how are you gonna get a half an award? So that's why
Mm.
you got, but it wouldn't have changed the rankings regardless. So you're at the top. Brielle
Ugh,
is a little bit cold. She dropped a few rankings,
and
and
lost Keyshawn.
one of her one of her players, but that is okay. No movement,
Tragic.
no movement in the bottom six. It made my job a lot easier. I didn't have to like rearrange anything. Um, but yeah, no. Interesting how this season's playing out. Very surprised that Rome is still here.
I know. And actually, that brings me to one of my questions that I have for you, because I'm
Okay.
so interested to hear your opinion on this. Do you think Rome is playing a good game?
Ooh, wow, that's a very loaded question.
Yeah,
Um,
because I have my own opinions and my own thoughts, but I want to hear from the person who's like, because he's definitely playing more of a villain game, which I don't think, at least for the seasons I've watched, I haven't seen, but I know that that was for sure a thing in older Survivor. So I'm
absolutely.
interested in your take on
Yeah.
it.
I do have to give props to Rome for apologizing to Soul. That was I didn't think he'd have enough like self-awareness and humility, I guess, to like even then
Yeah,
he
I
was
was
like,
also
yeah, I mean his apology was still like, if I did threaten you and like if I did make you feel this way, I'm sorry. It wasn't complete like owning up, but
yeah,
can't be perfect. Nobody's perfect.
nobody's perfect.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, but ultimately, I just don't think even if he makes it to the end, I don't think people are gonna want to give him $1 million. And so, at the end of the day, I just don't think it's a good game. I think you have to be connecting to people, and I think it's close. It's a lot closer. Like I was one of the specialist podcasts a few weeks ago. They were comparing Rome to Tony, who is a very crazy winner that in his first season nobody thought he had a chance in winning in the pre-merge because he was just insane. He was doing everything, kind of like Rome. And then he ends up winning the season. So I mean, if Rome finds himself in a final three next to like two people that just really have no merits to winning, maybe he could pull it out. I don't know. What are your
Mm.
thoughts?
I think he is playing a fun game. I don't think it's a
Hmm.
good game. Um,
An entertaining
I
game.
I think he's definitely like going to be used as a shield, and it depends if he, because like he's going to have to be okay with his name getting thrown out very often, I think, from this point forward.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like no matter what, like you had an advantage, you had an idol, you don't have those things anymore. No matter what, your name is going to be you're like dislikable, your name's going to be thrown out like every time, and I think he's going to either, and I'm interested to see how he reacts to being like the scapegoat for like possible next votes where people are like,
Hmm.
no, no, we're gonna vote Rome, like we're definitely voting Rome, and then like they just
He's
don't,
the decoy.
because I feel like there's always
It's almost like Q last season. He was the
yes,
decoy vote every time, and then
yeah,
it's
it's like
why
if you
Q.
if
Or yeah, sorry.
it's like if you ever hear like, oh my god, you guys were all voting Rome this time for real, then you know you're the
Hmm.
vote.
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, no, I actually. So this is another thing. We were doing the quick recap, and then we're thinking of doing our questions. So one of my essential questions actually kind of is a good connection. It's about Rome. Did Rome throw this challenge? I was so convinced seeing him do that puzzle, we were gonna get back to the red tribe and hear a confessional from Rome being like leaning up like I threw that. I know Soul's going home. Like, but we didn't get it. So I really don't know.
I don't think he did. I don't think he threw it. I think he was just genuinely awful at whatever that was. I think to begin with, I think they were doing it in a very awful way of doing this puzzle. Um, because you have one person standing there and just passing things to the person. You don't have like two eyes on it. You just have one eye and one person placing.
Rome on
So
his throne.
literally, especially towards the end when it's like you're clearly behind, like get up, start moving, do something. So like, and you know, as much as I love my girl Genevieve, especially after this episode, she was giving nothing. She was standing there, you know, she was just like, and just like handing random things to Rome, and like, you know, Rome was just sitting. No one was active, and so I don't think he threw it. I think he just like, I think there definitely is like, if he thought that he was going home, he would have tried harder, but I don't think he threw it. I think
Mm.
he
Hmm.
was just kind of like like he looked at the puzzle, he tried for a second, and he was like, "It's too difficult. I'm not going home anyway. I don't care," and then gave up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I
Um,
mean, it would be very like Survivor super fan of Rome to be like, let's throw this challenge. I mean, some of the most iconic like moments of Survivor are when a tribe tries to purposely throw a challenge and it like goes horribly wrong. Um, or it goes right. Shout out to Cook Islands, but that was just tragic. Anyways, I have two more questions, but they're kind of more related to the end of the episode. What's your?
Yeah, no, like let's go to the end because that tribal was
Oh yeah.
crazy.
Okay.
Um,
Do you
and I
wanna
have
here?
so
Wait.
many thoughts and feelings
Before we move
and
to the tribal,
concerns.
I
Mhm.
guess I guess there is. I mean, we didn't. I feel like we covered most from blue and yellow. The only thing worth mentioning would probably be Sierra is not helping the showman's allegations with the way they're
Oh my
bickering.
gosh, no, literally, they are like the bickering old married couple. Like, so I'm so like I like Sierra so much more after this episode. First of all, Chicken Queen, okay. Um, Sam's like, we're gonna kill the chickens. Sierra's like, stop that right now. I'd be the same way. I'd be like, we're not killing the chickens. You will die before the chickens, and I will eat you before I eat that goddamn chicken. Um,
And
Personally.
and as she's like, "Oh, I love the chickens," and they cut to her like trying to feed, she's like, "Oh God, don't bite! Oh, you bit my toe! Oh."
Because I'm the same way. I don't want to harm the animals, but I also may not want anything to do with them. I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
let them be. Let the chickens be.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, like Sierra a lot more after this episode. I'm excited to see things from her. It seems that she's
Mm-hmm.
very. I was worried that she was just going to be like a follower of Sam in the beginning because it really did kind of start to seem that way. But I'm glad that she's doing like her own thing.
Gotcha. Um. Yeah, and then I feel like Blue. There's maybe Blue would be fun to save for speculation on future episodes. So
Yeah.
unless there's anything you want to add.
I mean, no, Blue didn't get a lot of screen time. It was kind of just the Sue show over there with
Mm-hmm.
her
The
idol. And then that was
tsunami and the
yeah, the
mother quake.
tsunami. The motherquake. No, love Sue. I am so glad I picked her. She's everything that I imagined her to be. Um, but I have some more thoughts on Blue, but that was mostly geared towards like the when it
The
gets to like
next
the next
time.
time. So
Mm-hmm. All right.
I'll
Well, so yeah,
refrain.
we can get to the tribal.
Mhm.
Um, no, I thought this was a really good episode. Like it was like I was like, damn, this is gonna be like some of the best episodes of Survivor are when you know exactly who's going home and you're just watching their downfall and you're like, yes, give it to me. And I thought that was gonna be I thought this was just gonna be the fall of Rome episode. I mean, Soul has the amazing confessional, Rome will burn,
Rome will
and
burn.
and Genevieve's having the confessional of, the other tribes are getting eggs and they can make some scrambled eggs, but all we're gonna be doing are gonna be scrambling at tribal.
I don't
Um,
know. This team's got the confessionals on point.
for real. And but then no, it turns out no, Rome's not going home. Soul is going home. No, Soul's not going home. Keyshawn's going like it they kept just like building on top of each other.
Yeah, and talk about like sleeper agent. Like, oh my god, it's like right when Genevieve heard that her name was being talked about, like just awakened. She's like, okay, it's time to play. Um, I honestly like I'm obviously super biased because I love Genevieve and she was doing absolutely nothing beforehand. But oh my god, was this an amazing move that was like pulled off? Like no one was even talking about Keyshawn and she just went, "Hey, let's just vote Keyshawn," and somehow got Rome and Soul to both vote Keyshawn when they hate each other.
Do you think do you think this will be the right move for her? Because there was confessional she was giving, I think earlier on in the episode. It's like, I can only like talk for Rome on my behalf for so long until he ends up like hurting my game. And it seems like you have this good alliance that you could have with Teeny, Keyshawn, and Soul. Three people that all seem Teeny is your strategical shield, or maybe your social shields. Soul's your physical shield, and Keyshawn could be your like, they all could be kind of a shield for her in a way.
But, then I feel like that will be playing a very similar game to how Julie played in 45, and that's boring.
Uh-huh.
That's boring, it's bad, it's boring. So I'm so glad that
Boo. Boo
she boo
boring.
boring, boo boring. I'm so glad she did this because I think it was so like, the editors went off when they had, like, Keyshawn, like,
Mhm.
overlap all of the things he's, like, been saying, and then, like, Genevieve just, like, sitting there like, it's so, so good.
She was like she gave that like face looking out into like the distance
Yeah,
of like, what am I gonna do?
but I guess that goes to one of my questions, where
hmm
do you think this was a good move for Genevieve?
I I mean I just asked you that.
I know, but I'm
I don't
flipping it
know.
because I don't know. Fuck! Well, you can't also not know.
No, it's no,
I
you're I actually I made that up on the spot. I didn't think that was yeah.
because it's something I've been thinking about because I'm like, she's gonna look like such a threat now.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like it
you
could have been
know,
really easy if you think Keyshawn's throwing your name out there. Cool. Save that for later. Like when it comes merge, kick him aside. Like and then Teeny and Soul are your like it's the same
I
thing with
mean,
Yellow. Like
I feel like though, hear me out on
okay.
this. Rome and Soul are never going to work together ever.
Well, they just
The
did.
fact that I, she did, but like she had to mediate the whole thing. Like Rome is
Mhm.
incapable of, I think, like handling Soul on his own. Like he just doesn't. It like
Mhm.
their personalities don't click. They don't match.
Mhm.
But like whose personalities do click and match? Keyshawn and Teeny. And it was like so obvious that they were each other's number ones. And I think it's so fascinating that this like three-person alliance that kind of started in the beginning with Teeny, Keyshawn, and Asia has just completely like fell apart within like 2 episodes. Like I can't imagine being in Teeny's position and like waking up and being like, wow, my two closest allies are both gone. And I
Mhm. All right, I
like,
have a
oh, that's
yeah,
hurt.
I have a little there was a tweet that I saw that I thought was very insightful, and it has to do with
Mhm.
Teeny. I mean, Teeny's got a very interesting edit with how he's talking about the strategy, but also like her personal connections with people, and it's like very like there's a lot of conflict, internal struggle that she's like going through, and like you said, we see she has this like majority alliance that just completely crumbles, and now she's like blindsided. She didn't have a vote, and like she doesn't know what to do when the journey happened and there was the three idol advantage that they all got. Someone noticed there's a very interesting thing as Teeny was reading the like how the advantage works. They showed like when the three people in the game and in the frame, all three people were in the frame. You know, obviously all three of them need to agree to play the idol. When there's if there's two people in the game, the frame moves into Teeny and Caroline, and it says they will both need to agree for the idol to be work. If there's one and it goes solely on Teeny, could it be foreshadowing the order of which these trio go home? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. This edit of Teeny has been very seems very I don't know. I'm hey listen, Abby, I mean not Abby, Adam and Beck's winner pick, redemption winner pick of Teeny might be looking kind of good, and I wouldn't complain as someone who has them. Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that little framing foreshadowing?
I I mean, it's so hard to determine anything from these edits because I feel like they just like the editors, I feel like they have a similar personality to you where they're like, ha ha ha, we know people look into this, and then like just
Mm-hmm.
like they'll do things to throw people off. But I do think that um Teeny's game is very dependent on what happens next. I think Teeny's in a good spot though. I feel like they definitely are like a contender for like winning, and I would not say that
Okay.
it's like impossible. But this brings me to my next an interesting point
Does it
is
okay.
it's this is about a possible team swap.
Okay. Can we stay? I have one more question
Mhm.
about Tribal.
Yeah, got you.
On their rewatch, this was very interesting. I obviously knew Soul was gonna end up working with Rome, which again, props to Soul. Honestly, if I was talking to Steven, I would have given a pitch for Soul to have the fishy because he has a worse nightmare of Asia going home. He was completely blindsided. He's getting
Yeah.
threatened by another castmate that he's like, you have to do what I say. And somehow with all of that, he's still able to. He's getting followed around as he's looking for an idol. And after all of that,
Yeah.
he's still able to like recollect and calm himself. And then even after that, Genevieve comes to him and is like, "This is $1 million move. You have to do it with us." Like a little more better worded than that.
Yeah.
But he is able to end up working with them for like almost a self-preservation. Because even if Teeny got her vote, it wouldn't have mattered. If she didn't lose her vote, Rome was still going to steal Keyshawn's. So then Rome and Genevieve would have had 3 votes for the two of themselves. And then if they pull, I guess then they would have to. No, then it would be the three of their votes versus the two of of Teeny and Soul. So no matter what, Genevieve and Rome were always going to have the say of who goes home. So
Yeah.
Soul, self-preservation, is able to jump to the other side, vote with them to vote Keyshawn out. And I thought that's very impressive when you're starving and cold and you're on this island of strangers. You're able to take a step back and be like, okay, I might hate Rome, but I'm still gonna work with him.
Yes. I thought that was very it was very interesting. I was very proud of Soul. I'm glad he put his game above his
And yeah, I did go on a bit of a tangent there. The real question
Oh, okay.
was he bluffing the whole trial? Because he says, I'm gonna play my shot in the dark tonight. And then when Rome steals Keyshawn's vote, Soul is like, what? He almost acts like he didn't know Rome had like that advantage. And like Rome's going up to vote, and Teeny's like, what the hell is happening? And Soul's like, dude, I don't know. Like, so how do you think? I don't know. I think Soul might be going
I
into his poker face right now.
I'd agree with that. I'd absolutely agree with that. I mean, Soul calls Rome out in the tribal and says Rome has a steal vote and he threatened me. And
Right.
he says that at the tribal. So I think like but there was definitely like I guess that's just the thing is it depends what Soul was planning on doing before walking into that tribal.
I think he was
Like,
planning on voting Keyshawn.
do you think so?
I
Because
think I think they had the whole plan, and he didn't want Keyshawn. I don't know. I really don't know.
see,
Maybe
like,
he
because
wanted
that's
to make it. Yeah, sorry. Go.
I think there is a very good chance that Soul is like in this position where he's like, I'm not believing anything Rome tells me. It's
Hmm.
all like bullshit. It's all been bullshit. And then you get to this tribal, and Rome finally puts the money where his mouth is and says, I'm stealing Keyshawn's vote in front of everyone. So I
Hmm.
wonder if that really was kind of the point where he
Hmm.
was like, or if he had already, or if Rome went up to him beforehand and was like, I'm going to steal Keyshawn's vote. We're going to get Keyshawn out. And if something happened there and if that's when it
I
clicked.
think that's when
Um,
Genevieve came to him and was like, "This is what's happening."
yeah. So then I definitely think there's probably a little bit of like bluffing. Like I'm not gonna lie, like if I'm Soul, I feel great right now. Like Teeny and Keyshawn have been over here acting like they're like head of the pack, they're controlling everything, they're in the middle. And like Teeny even voted Soul last time, so I can't imagine he really cares about their duo and what they're doing.
It's interesting.
Um,
It leaves two very interesting pairs of Genevieve and Rome, and then Teeny and Soul, who still might be able to work together. Like we saw at the beginning, Teeny's like profusely apologizing that she voted for Soul. So yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. And then Soul again was able to be like, it's just a game. Like don't worry about it.
So I think Soul has some lasting power.
All right.
I'd say, and
Well,
I
yeah.
think if he was bluffing, then he's really good at bluffing.
I mean, hey, he's a poker player, so we'll see. Yeah, we can we have just passed the 30-minute point mark, so we can move on to the next time on Survivor. Did you notice anything?
I mean, personally didn't like. I had to have this basically be spelled out to me by Ellis,
You
where
paused.
where we watched it, and and he was like, "Did you notice anything?" And I was like, "What? Like, what are you talking about?" And we had to rewind it, and he literally paused it on the frame of the like next challenge, and there only being room for like two tribes.
Oh my God.
So I guess tribe swap is
But
like gonna
Jeff
happen.
he specifically said it's a twist that has never happened in the show before.
And that's what I wanna that comes to my final question that I
Hmm.
wrote up beforehand for you,
Hmm.
is is there going to be a team swap? How do you think it's gonna go? Do you think they're gonna split up red, change completely? Like, what is your, like, personal prediction of how this is going?
I don't know. So it's interesting. On the next time on, we saw there was a yellow, like in all the challenges, they like kind of separate the challenge on which tribe, like what's their lane, and we saw a blue lane and a yellow lane. And I don't think that necessarily means red is just getting dissolved because they've done that before. Um, and I don't know. I feel like it must be something about how they swap them. It's gonna be a swap. There's swapping is happening. That is for sure. I mean they've done like drafts before. They've done a mutiny where people can voluntarily step off and like to go to the other side. So I don't really know like what kind of iteration of a swap they could do that hasn't happened yet, but I'm excited for it. I've been I mean back on like week 2 I was like, or week 3 I was like, if a swap's gonna happen it's gonna be this week, and it didn't happen. But so and this, I think with now we start to get the cross tribal alliances too, where like people are getting separated. Are they going to be able to keep those like bonds
Yeah.
formed? Are new bonds going to form? I think a player like Teeny, we might see make a lot of more new connections, and maybe in Soul they find new ground. Rome might take a big hit because he can't control this red tribe anymore. So
Yeah, I'm interested to see what will happen. A part of me is like, is it gonna be like random, or do they do like something and like top 7 get in one tribe and the other 7 in the other?
yeah, that could be interesting.
I'm intrigued.
Oh, theory time.
Mm.
We only saw the blue and yellow map. Maybe it's not a tribe swap. Maybe those two tribes are gonna compete to see like for picks. They compete for like
Ooh.
draft picks to get like the first
Oh
pick
my
of who they can take from the red tribe.
Oh, imagine being picked last. Oh my god, on red,
That'd
I'd
be
cry.
crazy. Okay, that's my wish list. That's I hope that's what it is. I hope it's not like they just get like completely swapped. I hope there's some weird thing like that.
Yeah. Or maybe they have to, like, I don't know, like, they can take 2 players but have to give 1 up or something. Um,
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. There's a lot of ways you can go about this, a lot of ways it can get messy and interesting, so
What do you think for with this next week? I mean, we in the preview we saw there was a lot of blue. Uh,
yeah,
who was it?
I
Gabe wanted to vote
Gabe
Tiana
is going
out.
off.
He's
I
gunning for
so
Tiana.
they kind of it I at least from what I remember, I don't think it was ever specifically stated who he's gunning for. We just know it's a female on blue.
I think someone said Tiana threw his name out or something.
Mm. So it's interesting. Like if like I want to see how because how Gabe does this, because they're really
Mm-hmm.
like there was a random point in the episode where they did show Gabe and they were like, look at how close him and Sue are. So like,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of came out of nowhere, and so I'm like, I feel like that's building up to something where
And we're seeing the stuff with Gabe tried to align with Kyle, but then Kyle went straight to Sue and is like, Gabe's calling
yeah,
you a goat, and Sue doesn't want to listen to it. She's weirdly focused on getting Kyle out for some
yeah.
reason. And then there's the
So it's kind of
showman stuff, or I mean the bromance stuff. Um,
I was like, showmans? What
yeah,
what
not the
showman?
showmance. That's the Yellow Tribe.
That's the other tribe.
Yeah,
That's Sam with the fiance and
yeah.
Sierra.
All right. Well. Final predictions. Who do you think could potentially be in danger next tomorrow?
I mean,
Not even next week.
because
Literally tomorrow.
with how it's going right now, it could literally be anyone. Like with this tribe swap, it's hard to tell. So I'm just gonna throw a name out. I personally think Andy is going to go home. I don't know
Whoa.
how. I just want it to happen.
Whoa.
That's like a personal want for me.
Hmm. Now I'm wanting to look at like the confessional counts. Because I forgot to mention that. Let's see. Episode 4. Kyle got 0 confessionals, which broke my heart.
Yeah,
Like,
he
what does
hasn't done
that
anything this
mean?
episode.
I was holding out hope that he still had like win equity, but I don't know. Rome, Soul, Teeny all tied for the most with 7. Genevieve got 6. Um,
That's big for her.
yeah,
Very big for
and I don't know. When I look at the like confessional leaders, oh, did I not update it? Maybe I did. Sam and Rome are in the lead with 29 and 27. It's hard to tell. I don't know. I feel like I don't think it's gonna be a blue cat contestant just because they showed so much of that conflict on the next time on, and usually that's like a red herring.
her. Mhm.
Which maybe it just means like Gabe's going home because it was all focused at the women. Or I think like it just like someone from Yellow is going home. I don't think I feel like here's what I'll say. I don't think anyone from Red is going home. I think
Mhm.
if there's going to be some kind of a swap, and I think whoever ends up going to tribal, the blue contestants or the yellow contestants will end up like combusting on themselves, and they will use some of the new red like team members to like as numbers to vote out one of their own. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's either gonna be Gabe or I don't think it's gonna be Andy. Andy's having his redemption arc, so I'm gonna say I don't know, but I mean Rachel had her overconfidence little tidbit
That's
from
true.
tonight, but also like Annika's gotten some stuff, so yeah, this is I feel like this was a great episode. This I'm really liking this season. I feel like the cast has really started to come together,
Yeah.
and I'm
I
very excited for
definitely
next week.
I'm very excited for
Or
tomorrow.
yes. uh, okay, well we're just under 40 minutes.
So you're
Do you have?
saying Gabe?
I'm. Mm, no, I'm changing it last second. I'm gonna say Annika.
Annika.
I'm saying
Okay, okay,
Annika.
okay.
Yeah.
So we'll see what
We'll
happens.
see what happens. And with that, tomorrow we will find out. See you guys hopefully this week as we make our next podcast.
Yes, we will be on time this week, on schedule.
Maybe a special guest. Whoa.
Maybe.
All right. Adios, everyone.